coming this way. Wait a minute, hey, I'm ghosted!
By Roz Hernandez.
It was about 3 or 4 in the morning. It was like
Perfect.
the dead of night.
Yes.
Nothing happening. There was not a lot of lights on. Maybe there was like a light on in the kitchen or something, but it was kind of nice and quiet. And there was a distinct, it's also worth noting it was not complete dark. You know, it was somewhere between light and dark.
You're really giving us these details. I feel like I'm scared, actually.
It might let you down. There was a presence. Do you like my dubstep horror movie soundtrack? Dubstep music seems to have gone out of fashion, except it's thriving in the world of horror movie soundtracks.
Exactly. And then they just slow down a famous song, you know, like that's what they always do these days.
Help, I need somebody help.
Yes, exactly. And that's all we can use is that.
There was a presence that was standing over me from behind the back of the couch, but leaning right over. And because it was, you know, the couch had the back open in the room, you know what I mean? Not against the wall. So there was this presence standing like a tall person and looking down at me. And it felt like I was touched. It felt like somebody touched me and was trying to wake me up. And I woke up and for a second was like, who did that? And then noticed that no one was there and then thought someone was hiding behind the couch. And I was like, what? And no one was there. And then the presence was still there. Not, hard to describe this, not like visible like in a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Okay.
Not someone where I could have pulled it off and I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you.
Yes. That was Liberace.
Usually. And then I realized it wasn't going away and I was awake.
No.
Yes. And so then I yelled to protect myself very loudly. I was like, "You want me to do it? This is my somebody's bothering me in the night voice."
Yes.
Get the fuck away from me! And I jumped up over the couch and sort of ran and pushed this presence, this energy as hard as I could back up against the wall, and then it was gone.
Okay, that is a man right there.
Me?
That was...
Oh, I'm just a queen.
You ran towards it.
I did run towards the ghost. But then it disappeared, but then there was this, it wasn't like audibly laughing at me, but there was this like energy of like, ha ha ha, didn't get me, and it was gone.
But still, I would, first of all, that ghost should not be cocky because it did leave. Like, you did get it away. And you went right up to, I bet you that ghost, over its many years of being a ghost, has always had people run screaming. Listen, I've heard thousands of these stories. People don't run towards it.
Well, this was a house that had been lived in by many, 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 many people since like 1911 or whatever, when it was, or 1913, whatever it was. It was a big, big house. So lots of different people, like families, and like it had at one time been lodging for seminary students for the Catholic Church trying to be priests.
Oh, wow.
It had been inhabited by a couple of different groups of like hippies in the 60s and 70s that you had at different times used it as a commune. And a couple of different, like I know there's a screenwriter, Josh Olson, who actually lived there in a different time than I did, who told me some of the stories about it later on.
Did he have any?
I haven't asked him that. It's a good question. But also, oddly enough, now this is not necessarily remarkable because Charlie Chaplin is famous for living in many places.
He lived everywhere.
He lived everywhere. It's one of the places that Chaplin lived in also.
Did this guy just like do a week here, do a week there? Because I swear to God, that is how it is. That and Marilyn Monroe lived here.
I think it's because they hadn't invented like gates for houses back then. So if people found out that a famous person was there, you had to be like, well, We're moving.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Am I wrong about that?
That could be. I thought you were going to say he would just walk into houses and live there because there wasn't a gate.
Los Angeles was so new that the hedges hadn't had time to grow up. So they were like these little tiny bushes everywhere.
Little bushes.
That didn't protect you.
So if you were to guess what that was, I mean, what would you think? Do you think it was a spirit of Did a priest come visit you in the middle of the night?
Yeah, and it didn't seem malicious. It seemed, in hindsight, I felt a little bit guilty, like maybe I should have given the ghost a chance.
Yeah, you guys could have done a comedy duo
because
together.
I thought maybe they just wanted to reach out and chat and hang out or be like, hey, you're an empath. You can see me, you know? And I maybe overreacted. So I thought about it and I looked it up and I talked to some people and I then after that, up in my room, lit a candle, I lit a candle a couple nights in a row and put out some whiskey and like said some nice intentions where it's like, hey, don't bother me, but you know, I'm sorry, you know, you're welcome, you know, hang out, but don't try to scare me, you know?
Yeah.
You know, a negotiation.
Yeah, totally. Give it some whiskey, it'll be fine.
And I've that's been my policy now. Since then, if I was in there was a theater that had lots of theaters that are haunted, but there was one in particular I used to hang out at a lot, the Creek and the Cave in New York, and other places where I know that where there's a story that there's a spirit. You know, whether I see it or not, sometimes I'll just be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Or give it whiskey?
It's expensive. You don't want to just be wasting whiskey.
Yeah, you can't just give whiskey. Yeah, it's not Santa with milk and cookies.
Also, some of the ghosts are like, "Thank you, I've had too much over the centuries."
Yes. So, but of those other people that lived there when you lived there, did they ever have stories?
I don't think so. I'd have to consult them one by one to interrogate them about.
But it wasn't a well-known, like, we all know there's the ghost in the living room.
No, but I guess there were people who had been like, it was constantly, did you guys hear something or not hear something? Because there was so many people in the house and it was kind of a party place. But I would only think of this as remarkable because I was alone and no one was around. No, like there was no one. It was this giant, like one large room on the first floor, kind of with no doors, and there was no one around.
Yeah, that's a really hard environment to live with that many people.
Maybe I was just stressed out too.
Well, what I'm saying is like to know if there's a ghost or not, you know, because it's like, why are there dirty dishes? It was a ghost.
It's the ghost's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, you know, I do have vivid dreams sometimes, but I don't think this was that because my dreams are different. I don't have physically imposing dreams. Is that a way to? Yeah, I don't have dreams that feel like someone's hovering over me and poking me.
Yeah,
I have adventure dreams that I try to write them down when I wake up, but it's a very different sort of like mindscape, the dreams that I have compared to this sensation.
I'm just so impressed by you. The way you handled that. That is insane.
Well, that's probably the peak of my young life at the age of, 29 or 30, probably the peak of my ability to yell at anything and be able to back it up in any way.
It's very impressive. Are you single at the moment?
Sure. I don't know how to answer that these days.
Fellas, if you are looking for someone that will scare a ghost off in the middle of the night, I mean, that's impressive. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, I've learned since then to maybe not try to scare them off, but just try to be like, okay, here's a treat, go on your way.
Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes I think about it and I was like, I was too mean.
I think it's fine.
It's probably fine. They're dead anyway, right?
They're already dead. I mean...
And it's not like it's not what I didn't. The worst is they're going to be disappointed. I lost a friend.
Yeah, well,
but
it made a good story though.
It did. I do think about it sometimes, and I can't recall that it's happened since then. It was maybe a unique thing to that house.
Or sometimes what I've learned from hearing these stories, sometimes it's not even connected to the place. It's like, Who knows? Somebody threw a ghost at you when you were walking down the street. You picked one up somewhere.
Sure.
Who knows? Who
Right.
knows?
Right.
And it was just
It's
a
like
one-time.
It's like a video game in that way.
And that poor ghost was like, okay, never mind. God, sorry.
Yeah. The ghost is like, I just wanted to know if I could have some of your Cheez-Its.
So I was thinking we could do something fun and interesting and unique and different that we've never done on the show. I usually have a strict rule, no impressionists, but there's one.
Why? Why of all the... you have so few rules here, Roz.
I'm just kidding. You're definitely my favorite impressionist.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
No, I've always loved your impressions so much. And if anyone has the opportunity to see James live, it is such a fun experience to watch all the different people you embody.
Funny enough, there are opportunities to see me live. Stay tuned.
Okay. So I was trying to think of, Wikipedia gave me a couple of names that you're famous for.
Okay.
I was thinking from my own experience of being a fan over all these years.
We've done so many things together in the show business, on the boards. We've really dear old friend.
Really, really. And so I was thinking maybe some of those people have ghost stories. So I found, let me see here. I found 1, 2, 3, 4 that have ghost stories.
You've looked this up, that they actually have them.
Honey, I was spending time, I was going, Mike Lindell, ghost story. Literally, my Google history is like Eddie Pepitone, alien story.
I was stuffed into a trunk of a Lincoln Town car in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let me tell you, it was 10 a.m. before they opened it up, and I had ghosts the whole time bumping around inside of there. Spare tires.
That's more than what I found. There was no Mike Lindell ghost story.
Right.
But
he is the ghost story.
He is the ghost story. And you could see him
I would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you darn meddling kids.
If you ever see him on Jimmy Kimmel Live, that is James Adomian.
Yes, I'm the My Pillow guy on Jimmy Kimmel. That's how I should be remembered.
Would you, if I give you some names, would you be willing to give us a little idea of what that might be?
So yeah, let's try it. Let's guess the ghost story, right?
Okay. Do you want me to tell you like a prompt, like where it was, or?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, well.
While playing Hamlet.
Of course, there it is. I was cast in the role of Hamlet. I cast myself because, let's face it, I've been middle-aged since I was fucking born.
But there was a ghost.
I was playing Hamlet. I was doing all the parts myself, and what do you know? I forgot the lines. I was bombing as the tortured Prince of Denmark. And then, what do you know? Fuck me, it turns out. I was right there on stage, and I said, alas, poor Yorick, and I was holding the skull up, and then it started talking back to me. He said, listen, fuckface, you're not pushing tickets. And I said, that doesn't scan with Shakespeare's portfolio.
Honestly, not far off. Which, this is what scares me about when we perform in these haunted theaters. Like, I always think about if I saw a ghost when I'm on stage, like, that would destroy me. I don't know what like the fear of like, oh my God, I still have to do, especially like a scripted.
One time I was on stage. This wasn't a ghost, but like from the back of the room, I was on stage at this like comedy theater, and they had all these like pop culture things. Very often you're on stage and you've got like a picture of Richard Pryor and Bill Hicks that you have to ignore while you're doing comedy. But then this one, they had all these like pop culture characters, and straight in the back, directly facing me, was a giant wizard Gandalf, as played by Ian McKellen. There's the whole time there was this Gandalf staring at me from the back of the room, like, do you really think that was entertaining?
Yeah. So Paul Giamatti, the skull did not talk back to him, but it was his dagger. So I
have a very short and small dagger, okay?
The dagger did not talk back to him, but
You know, it's a delicate dagger. It's not a great weapon, but it's a fantastic little sidecar.
he was on Stephen Colbert, and he was telling him that when he was doing Hamlet at Yale Repertory.
At Yale Repertory, that's right.
In
40-year-old Hamlet.
in 2013.
A gray-haired, bald fuck of a Hamlet.
So he's on stage, and he's like, "Where's my prop dagger?" And he can't find it anywhere. And then during intermission, the stagehands are searching the stage. They're looking through the audience. They can't find it anywhere. And then they find his dagger in Act 2 on a piece of scenery that he says was 100 feet up in the air, even though the dagger was on him when he first started the show. So he says it was a ghost that put it up there. See, this was great. That was great. Can we keep going?
Yes.
Okay.
Terrifying. The terrifying tale of Paul Giamatti.
How about
Paul Giamatti and the Yale Dagger Ghost.
Gary Busey
Ladies and gentlemen.
and the Soup Ghost?
Oh, great.
Roz, let me tell you something. I firmly, and I treasure this opportunity to come forward and talk about these issues with a creditable witness here, because I've talked to this. I've been on the BBC. I've been on Chinese Communist News, and the only person that has given me a platform to talk about the truth of the supernatural is here right on this program.
That's what we do.
And I believe in ghosts. Gods, hell, only Satan transgendered.
I don't know if I like that one.
So he says, quote, "I had a ghost one time come out of a big plate of soup I had." Plate of soup. A big bowl of soup, he corrects himself. It was called a soup ghost. He continued. It was
Have you ever gazed into a bowl of soup and seen the supernatural? That is the kind of important wordplay that can lead you towards the path of victory or path of deviltry.
It could have been like a ghost of a clam chowder ghost or something.
The clams. We've seen Alice in Wonderland. The clams are down there. They have bonnets on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the truth. The walrus and the carpenter were trying to lead us down the path of truth.
He says it was a good-looking ghost because it was covered in vegetables. He says that's my kind of
cream
ghost.
of broccoli. Sometimes the broccoli is horny down there. Ladies and gentlemen, I've looked the soup in the eye. Sometimes the waiter brings a bowl of soup. There's the French onion soup, or like you said, a clam chowder, or a good minestrone, or something. Even a gazpacho. I will plop my face right down there, and I will gurgle through the liquid and say, "Waiter, there is a genius inside of my soup." And I wait for the response, because that's the word of heaven.
Thank you, Gary Busey.
You know what heaven stands for? He, everlasting, always vets every necessity.
Wow, I can't believe you could, because I have seen him do that thing where he does acronyms of every word.
Always creating redundant observations, never your mind.
Wait, soup is supernatural.
Well, that's just a contraction.
Oh, that's
Soup is just simply short for
no, but I was
supernatural.
going to say the S is supernatural.
Oh, sure.
But that works
Supernatural observations under penalty.
Wow. Are you? Now I'm going to rip it off and see if Gary Busey is really in there.
I would have gotten away. I would not have gotten away with it because I would have turned myself in if not for you meddling kids.
It says that he was heading out of Ralph's one day in Malibu, and TMZ asked him about seeing ghosts, and that's when he gave us that wonderful story about the soup ghost.
I love that he's the one guy that TMZ interrupts on the street, and he's like, "Oh, I'm grateful to talk to you. I'll sit here. I'll talk to you for 45 minutes." TMZ's the one that's like, "Okay, we're done. Let's get out of here."
They're like, "That's enough.
Wait, there's more. I have more to say.
This is more than we can use."
Ralph's is funded by the Masons.
So, moving along, we've got Mark Maron, who claims he experienced a ghost in 1988 in New York City.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It was the summer of Dukakis. Everybody thought Dukakis was going to win. It was 88. We were young. We were doing the New York thing. And I was on stage. I was on stage at the Cellar. I was on the stage at Cellar. I was bombing. And it was bombing, and then I got off, and there was nobody at the table. They turned the lights out, and then suddenly I was levitating. It was the ghost. It was the ghost of. It was the ghost of Sam Kinison. Fuck. It was the ghost of Sam Kinison. He accused me of stealing one of his jokes. I said, "Look, let's talk it out, man."
Wow. God, I love Mark Maron. Is the underculture still out there?
No, thanks for asking.
But I mean, like, is it still?
It's out there, yeah.
Because there's an episode where you played Mark Maron and
our dear friend, Sam Pancake.
Thank you, I forgot his name. Sam Pancake plays Rip Taylor.
That might be the best interview we did on the underculture. That was my podcast that ran for a year. From the pandemic killed it. It was 2019 to 2020. It was the underculture on Forever Dog, and it is very funny, and it still exists. A lot of it's on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, but the whole thing is on the website behind us. It's very $1 paywall.
That was one of the funniest pieces of comedy I have ever heard. Both of you were just so on.
I was Mark Maron, and Sam Pancake was Rip Taylor.
Yes.
And I was because it was a conversation I imagined. I just wanted to hear this. And so I was like, Rip, come on, let's get down to it, Rip. And he wouldn't. Sam Pancake was hilariously, he told me he was going to do this, not listening to anything I was saying or asking, and just railroading. But it was appropriate because that's what Rip Taylor would have done.
It was kind of like when Gallagher was on Mark Maron.
We wanted it to be like that. Yes.
And he kind of walked out at the. I'm like off book on this episode of The Underculture. I've listened to it so many times.
Oh, I love it too. I think there's a short clip of it on YouTube. That might be my favorite interview from the whole damn thing.
Oh, well, so Mark Maron's real story, we don't know much about it. Hopefully one of these days we'll get him in here because I love Mark Maron. But he basically was replying on a very short TikTok. Someone asked him, they said, is it true that you saw a ghost in 1988 in New York City? And his quote was, something moved a chair, but I was really high. That's the full story.
I love how literal Maron does. I don't buy into the stuff. I didn't light any candles. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't do any tarot.
Something moved a chair. He was high.
I don't believe in any of this bullshit. I don't even believe in the John Lennon song about what you don't believe in.
First of all, this is the most talk of heterosexual men we've ever had on this podcast. Mm-hmm. This is.
I'm sorry. I basically do drag as unattractive. No, Maron's hot.
Maron's hot.
Okay, but generally either grumpy or unattractive men.
This is straight men are an underrepresented group on this show. And so it is nice to sometimes talk about them.
I get locked in because I don't know I can. I have to do the voices.
You do the voices, and you do them well. Okay, here's the last one. Elon Musk sells his $30 million mansion because he says it's creepy.
Well, obviously, I have lived in Bel Air for quite a while. And
oh my God.
Lived in Bel Air for quite a while and was trying to solve humanity by getting us to Mars because, sitting in traffic too long to get to Santa Monica or Long Beach or something. And so I thought, well, why not just get there faster? And while we're doing that, why not make it an even longer journey? So let's get to Mars. Well, I started to see these terrible visions of blood, and
that feels normal.
I realized that was what I was aiming for, like ad astra per sanguinem, to the stars through blood. That I wanted to have like a lot of people die. Similar to other great works of ancient kings, Ozymandias or the pharaohs of Egypt. Like, you're not going to build a pyramid without a certain number of people being buried alive. And I thought, what a greater monument than Mars. And that's when the hallucinations started, the ghosts appearances, where I saw these terrifying ghosts of these creatures that didn't want me to accomplish my plans. And they would be like, oh, we actually like Earth, and want you building a platform to the stars over our bodies and the bodies of our children. And so that's when I decided to tunnel deeply with my special tubes to tunnel, so I didn't have to see the ghosts, but it just got me closer to hell and different kinds of demons. So
Even closer.
pretty cool, pretty like cool.
God, he's so cool and so funny. And
I'm like really cool. Lots of children.
he's like the coolest guy ever.
Like 80% of my many children will even read my Christmas cards when I send them.
So he was on a podcast called Full Send Podcast, and
Right. Basically promoting dangerous conspiracy theories
pretty much,
that are
I
just
don't know.
obviously like normal man truths.
He says that, yeah, his 47-acre home, he said that he would hear a lot of noises and, doors open sometimes, but he kind of doesn't believe that in ghosts. But
Right. Someone tried to make me believe that, oh, no, there was an explanation for it, that there were like younger guys that were like opening doors and bringing their girlfriends in, or like having sex with some girlfriend or wife that I was with at the time, and there would like farcical like opening of closing of doors and stuff, and that I never saw them. But that's obviously not an explanation. It had to be ghosts.
it was probably the kids. There's probably so many kids, he forgets how many kids there are in the house.
There are at any one time like 23 or maybe even like 25 kids, and hard to keep track because sometimes they slip in and out of existence because of my various experiments with dimensionality.
So that was it. You did it.
So, right. And so looking forward to going to some place like Mars, where if there's a ghost, we will actually like merge with the ghost and become sort of like, like a half ghost, half human hybrid species.
Half alien.
And looking forward to this, just to be able to go through rocks, so I won't have to tunnel anymore with my tubes, my magnetic tubes. And these are ghosts also that conveniently the ghosts I see, I've programmed them into Teslas. If you notice when there's little people on the sidewalks, when you're driving a Tesla or in the back of a Tesla or something, that there's like people on the sidewalks that kind of disappear just as you're about to run into them. That's the kinds of ghosts I see. I see human beings as ghosts. It's a lot like the M. Night Shyamalan film, except for me, I don't see dead people. I just simply don't see living people. Instead of them, I see like ghosts on the sidewalk that are they're there as an advisory in my warning panel on the Tesla, like not to avoid them, but just to let you know that if you should desire to, there's someone you can run over that way.
I'm not even kidding you. People do upload to TikTok them driving their Teslas through cemeteries and spooky places, and it picks up humans.
Right. It's
that aren't there.
The Tesla automobile is designed to pick up lots of false signals.
Sounds safe.
There are dogs that the Tesla will be like, alert, alert, like this is the President of the United States. This is a great visiting foreign dignitary, what have you. And then sometimes there will be like, for example, Teslas don't see nuns. Nuns, if they're wearing the habit of a Catholic nun, the Tesla just simply doesn't pick it up because of the black and white interference. So they're in danger. And I think in the future we're going to have to put them in underground shuttles. Or simply ship them all to Mars.
And that is Sister Act 3. The plot. James, let's do something.
Untoward.
Let's do something
Unprecedented.
a little spooky.
Oh,
and by the way, thank you for that segment. That
you.
was amazing.
Thank you.
Incredible.
There's less of that where that came from.
You can see James live. Just right now, give him a couple of dates.
Yes, jamesadomian.com and my link tree, and I try to post these on social media. I'm going to be in Arlington, Virginia at the Arlington Draft House this month in December. And then in early January, I'm going to be at Good Nights in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm going to be there in November.
It's beautiful, right?
Or I just was there.
You just were there.
We do record this early. People know that.
And then I'm going to be at Helium in Portland. Also,
I'm going to be there in December.
So I'm there in early January. So there we go. We're on the same track, Roz.
Oh my God.
We're on the circuit.
Those are great.
And there's other dates and stuff coming together. And so jamesadomian.com or my link tree, which is it's Adomian, just like my Instagram.
Love it. Okay, you know what? Well, can I show you a haunted doll?
Yes.
Okay. It's time for a segment I call
The Dolls Are Living.
It's not the Liberace doll. So what I do is I go to ebay.com, I look up haunted dolls. There's always thousands of haunted dolls being sold. And sort of the idea is usually a living person died and somehow ends up in a haunted doll that is now being sold on eBay. That's the story that these people go with. They come with backstories. And today we have one that doesn't necessarily look scary, but it has a backstory to it. This is a doll named Lil Choppy.
Little Choppy?
Lil Choppy.
Lil Choppy.
And Lil Choppy is going for $34.99. Jiha, show us Lil Choppy, please.
You got it, Roz.
So it's basically a little Chihuahua Beanie Baby looking thing.
I know this one, though. It has batteries and it barks and moves, I bet. Does he bark?
This one probably just puts curses on you because Lil Choppy is spooky, honey.
The one I had, I actually gave it away. It's a little slightly different than this, but I gave it to an ex-boyfriend as a joke gift that was like, hey, this is you. This is...
Did you put a spirit inside of it?
No, I didn't do anything like that. It was just like, this is a joke. Like, hey, this is, in case you're wondering, this is like how, this is how you are to me sometimes.
Well, it says, this is Lil Choppy, and she is one of the sweetest and funniest dolls I've ever encountered. Okay, so it's not that spooky. It's a sweet one. She's kept safe and clean by a spirit keeper.
Now that's you the owner put that into it.
Yes. Since they already had many good encounters with her, they wanted to pass it on to someone with good vibes. Now, wait a minute. Now they changed the pronouns because it says he was a comedian who loved improv and making people laugh. There's an old...
Del Close?
There's an old Second City
Or
cast member.
Oh, it's John Candy. Oh,
It says,
a Chihuahua is a very interesting breed.
He died of a rare illness. There's always a little bit of a sad. They always got to tell
Sure
you.
did.
Says that Lil Choppy died of a rare illness, didn't tell anyone he was sick. Okay, his life's mission is to be there for you, make you feel better, and give you more abundant life. He sounds sweet. He loves children and animals, safe to keep in a house and keep inside of the house.
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
Oh my God. And he'll bring joy and good luck to you. He will be sweet and welcoming to those who come into your environment. Also,
He can sell shower curtain rings.
he does a lot.
He could be an annoying travel companion, but you grow to love him.
Oh my God.
It's John Candy.
Listen, it very well could be. And now he's reinvented himself as Lil Choppy. And it says he's an encouraging spirit.
Polka. No.
He's an encouraging spirit that will say positive affirmations and jokes to you. Mm-hmm. And he will provide sweet dreams while you sleep. So that's Lil Choppy. $34.99.
Hi, Choppy. I admire your body of work.
Okay, let's do one last thing here. Can I play you some ghost voices?
Yes. Oh.
Finally, someone else doing voices. It's time for EVPs or EV Police. EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. It's when people believe they've captured a ghost speaking on
They
camera.
record it.
Yeah. So what I do is I go to YouTube and I find two EVPs, and I'm gonna play it for you. You tell me, and you're really an expert in the world of voices. So maybe you should. I have a feeling that you're gonna be able to listen and pick out what we're hearing here. That's funny. Sometimes they have like, you'll watch like a documentary about this stuff, and they'll have like a recording engineer expert that is listening and decides, oh, this is a real human speaking or whatever. I'm curious what you might think.
Yeah, you get all these self-declared experts, somebody who's like, oh, you got designated as a credentialed a professional witness by the local county court. Save your credentials. I'm not interested. As Bruce Lee said, your black belt is only used good for holding up your pants.
There you go.
I want speak to me like I'm a full citizen.
Thank you.
I want to judge on the evidence alone.
This was posted by Razor Baby 1 on YouTube.
Razor Baby.
And it's from the Metro Area Paranormal Society, also known as MAPS, and they are in Omaha, Nebraska. And this is a business that was in the area of Dundee, Nebraska. I don't know what the business was called, but they did a ghost hunt there. And what did this ghost say? It's a real soft whisper. Let me play it again.
Yeah, that's in Omaha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey. It's hey. It's just they're saying hey. Hey.
I mean, that's very well could be.
I think the ghost is talking to another ghost going, hey, watch out. This guy's going to discover us.
Honestly, I hear that. So that's not what they thought. I'm going to give you A, B, C, D, and it was one of these that they believe it said. Did they think it was A, you are gay, I think.
What? I'd have to isolate the audio and bump it up and enhance. Isolate and enhance.
This is isolated and enhanced.
I can't. I don't hear that.
Okay. Did they think it was B?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you're here. Did they think it was C? Get away from us. Or D? Oh, you make me nuts.
They thought it was get away from us. That's what I say.
That is exactly what they thought. Now that we know that, let's hear it.
It's a negative mindset, you know? You just got to embrace the voice. Get away from us.
I hear it.
I think it's just, hey.
Could be. Now, here's one more from the same group. This time it was at a local cemetery in Omaha. What does this one say? It's a little different sounding.
That's scary.
Let me play it again.
Can I hear it one more time? Nobody wants to play with me. It's not play, it's some other word.
But it's definitely that vibe.
Nobody wants to play with me.
Definitely that vibe.
Nobody wants to go with me.
Did they think it was A, please will you buy some snacks? B, these are the sheep God wants next. C, we need to see you here. Or D, 3 to the 3 to the 4, 5, 6.
Can I hear it again? It's number 3. What was that?
We need to see you here.
We need to see you here. I think that's what they think the voice said.
They think it's B. These are the sheep God wants next.
It's too that's too much information you're loading into it. That's reading between the sounds.
Yeah, but now that we know that, let's listen for these are the sheep God wants next. I hear it.
No, because it's like there is a softer intention. If there was a declaration like that, it would be more pronounced. There was a softer intention, like it sounds to me like if that voice, whether it's a ghost or a human or whatever, it sounds like it's lamenting, like it's complaining, like it's self-pitying.
Oh.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see me or whatever, something like that.
God doesn't want me next.
Maybe that's it.
Oh. James, just real quick, I'm curious your thoughts on a couple of things. What do you think about
What do you think about ghosts?
ghosts?
It's a Martin Short. You know,
Yes, Jiminy Glick.
Jiminy Glick. What are your thoughts on ghosts?
Exactly. That's my favorite character of all time.
Yeah, I
love
love him.
Jiminy Glick. What are your thoughts on aliens?
Sure, they seem like they're out there. You know, of course, the Fermi paradox.
What's the Fermi paradox?
It's named after an Italian astrophysicist, I believe. Is it Federico Fermi or Enrico Fermi? I forget, but it's Dr. Fermi from the 1940s.
All I know is that if he's an Italian man, he's Fermi.
He was he was one of the people on the Manhattan Project, and he had developed this axiom, which is a sort of a statement for other people to investigate. It's not quite a theory; it's a statement to be investigated. Where he was saying, I'm going to get it wrong, and there's several layers to it. There's like a number one, number two. There's a list of things where he's like, the observable universe is so vast that there must have evolved aliens in other star systems. However, we have had no contact with them and no knowledge of them here. So there has to be, he tried to narrow down all the possible solutions for why there must have evolved, given the chance of infinite evolutions over billions of years, why we don't see them all the time or have no knowledge of them. And he lays out the possible answers, which is, we have seen them, but we forgot them. We have seen them, and it's embedded in our, ancient stone engravings. Or it ranges up to possibilities such that the nature of life evolving on a planet is such that it only lasts for about 1 billion years before it makes itself extinct, so that no civilization ever has time to reach out.
Right.
Which is, and there's all these other possible, and he also says there's a possibility that they have made contact with us, but they hide from us, or they blend in with us, or they don't want to contact us because they're not interested in us. Like we're just like some idiots that they don't care about.
That's what I think. I genuinely think that we are the bad neighborhood in the galaxy, that they're like, let's not go over there. All the stuff that you're saying, that I have heard about this, but I've never gotten into it too much because that stuff freaks me out. It gives me some kind of anxiety.
The best fictional rendering I've seen. I am, again, agnostic. I don't deny what people claim to have seen unless somebody's going to put me on a jury, and I'll have to make a decision. But I'm more interested in the future theory of aliens than I am about individual sightings of them. Mm-hmm. The best fiction I've seen recently, science fiction, exploring this idea is the Three Body Problem series by Cixin Liu, the Chinese science fiction writer. It's an attempt at a very realistic scenario of aliens as close as they could possibly be and be able to get to us. And they're hostile, but it takes so long for them to get to us that we have hundreds of years knowing that they're coming.
Oh,
it's a very interesting trilogy of books.
Okay, let's do 2 more that I'm curious about your thoughts on.
Ooh.
Bigfoot.
Okay, this is going to be boring to people, but you can't rule it out as some ancient hominid species that didn't go extinct in the hills and forests of remote parts of the world. Very unlikely. Definitely explainable. Can't rule it out. Very unlikely. You could probably usually explain it from deliberate hoaxes or somebody saw a moose.
Somebody saw a moose.
I'm serious.
On 2 legs. Yeah.
I saw a moose right around sunset or just after the sun had set. My brother and I saw a moose in what's the big national park in Wyoming? Montana.
Is that Yosemite?
No, the big one.
Yellowstone?
Thank you, Yellowstone.
I meant.
We were in. It was like he doesn't even know what he's talking about. He doesn't even know. He can't even. You ever listen to this guy? No, we were in Yellowstone and we saw this giant figure walk out of the trees and stop and kind of look at us. And you only see the front 2 feet because the rest of it's hiding in the trees. And then you realize, and it took us a minute to be like, what the fuck? Oh, it's a moose. It was a female moose without the antlers.
Jiha, make sure you cut the second part when we realized it was a moose.
You got it, Roz.
No, but that probably does happen all the time to people. That because you see like the black fur, and you're like,
Could be a bear, could be a moose. Moose are huge. People don't realize how big they are.
well, especially if you're seeing like those big, huge horns, and you're not processing that that's not like the head or something. You're just like, all I see is a big creature.
Yes.
How fascinating.
Yeah, and it was a female moose, so there was no antlers. So it kind of just looked like a big floppy person walked out of the trees and just stopped there.
Oh wow.
And when we realized, we were both talking about it. We were like, that what we just saw would easily be confused for a Bigfoot.
Yeah, it was just a big floppy lady moose.
Yeah, you wonder, like, okay, the Neanderthals went extinct 40,000 years ago, they say, and the other adjacent human species to Homo sapiens around the world, I forget what the other ones are called, but the Neanderthals are the ones I know from Eurasia, I guess. Okay, so they went extinct, or did they? Maybe. Well, we know that some people have up to like, a small percentage of their DNA is like some of the Neanderthals intermarried with
Some more than others.
the Homo sapiens. Yeah. So, yeah, sure. Okay, right. Have we explored every cave? I don't know. We haven't.
But this is where things get interesting for me is
It's a long time to stay off the grid, though, 40,000 years.
commitment. If you are to believe in the possibility of ghosts, I'm just people in general, not just you specifically, and you know that there were these other versions of humans that once existed, could it be a ghost version of them that sometimes people see, and that's why we can never catch the Bigfoot?
Wow. You're telling me that Bigfoot isn't real and that's the key to the whole solution.
I think Bigfoot's a ghost because people would have caught it by now.
You grab it and it disappears.
Yes! If it was you, you'd run up, get out of here!
No, that's how you get killed by a moose.
I saw bears one time outside of LA.
I thought he was trying to hurt me. By the way, yeah, when I say moose, it was Bullwinkle from Rocky and Bullwinkle. Bullwinkle, no! They're just driving through Yellowstone!
Don't murder that man!
But it was dusk and he came up to try to stop me.
No, I saw 3 bears, not the gay kind,
Sure.
one time outside of LA. I was in Claremont.
Were you breaking into bears' cabins and like trying their porridge and stuff?
There were 3 of them. One of it was a little too hot. One was too cold. No, there was, I was leaving an event and the cars were all stopped leaving this parking lot. And I'm like, what's going on?
Honk, honk, hurry up.
Yes. And then when we finally moved and got closer, we realized it was 3 bears.
In Claremont.
In Claremont, California.
Damn, near the Pomona colleges, I suppose.
I suppose so. Okay, last one. Let's do past lives.
I don't even think this is I think this is a legitimate philosophical and religious belief, and I don't even think it's something kind of paranormal that needs to be doubted at all.
Really?
I think it makes the most sense as an explanation for everything. One version of it that I think is a very clean explanation for all life on Earth is what the way Alan Watts summarizes a lot of what he talks about, where you are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. So he says that, individual living things are just sort of outcroppings of powerful consciousness, like one living thing that experiences itself as separate living things. And very similar to that, adjacent to it, or, sure, different Wikipedia pages, but but I do believe in past lives, and I believe that they're not limited to human beings, and I think I lean towards the possible idea that I don't know the details of how it works, but I have actually gotten into the nerdy side of this, where there's Christian theologians and also atheists that try to take apart reincarnation and be like, well, the population keeps growing. Where are these souls coming from? Where are these minds coming from? And it's like, yeah, but Are you counting all the extinct creatures and the fact that I think it's very possible that we are one thing that has to live through being every possible living thing on the planet. And that's how a deity, an eternal being, or a semi-eternal being like the earth or the sun passes the time, because it's fucking boring to live forever.
So it's like fun for them to...
Yes, that you have to create something alive, or you're just out there gurgling in space.
Interesting.
And it would be so boring, it would be torture.
It would
so
be.
that they create this life thing to exist.
I guess I did not realize that you...
That's what I actually believe.
I didn't realize, like, when I had you come on here that you have, like, read up on all this stuff and you have, like, you know so much about this.
Well, some things I do and some things I bullshit very quickly.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to your listeners to decide.
No, that's great. This is great. This is a great way to end, because now my mind is thinking about a lot of things you've just said.
I've summarized a lot of it very quickly. Because there's the mechanics of how that works. You know, you might have like a short cycle where there's one sort of like spirit or consciousness that's being reincarnated on a short cycle, but then overall there's these larger cycles where we might, I can't say it for sure, we might all just be the same thing.
I'm very convinced of it too, because of stories I've heard, like even on this show, where it's like, which by the way makes me not fear death anymore, because I'm like, oh, I think we just like, we figure it out. We go somewhere. We do it again. I don't know how it works either. But it's like, it seems.
You obviously don't remember it. That's
the
one
thing.
of the things about splitting up your life into other lives, is that you don't remember.
But it seems like there are sometimes blips, or I don't know how to explain that. We just covered an episode, this true story of this little boy that knew all this very specific information about being a man in Hollywood, in the golden age of Hollywood. And then they looked up.
And it was a little kid?
Yes, and they looked it up, and it was not a famous man or whatever. They find all the details. They knew what street he lived at. This kid knew everything. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know how that works, where sometimes it's like, oh, whoops, I remembered too much. Like, I don't know how it...
arguably, okay, maybe you picked up a weird journal that you found in a library.
Oh, come on! That could be too. Yeah, maybe you found a diary somewhere. No, but...
Kids are clever.
No, this was when he was like 4 or 5, I think.
Oh,
anyway.
Too young to be clever.
Well, you're very clever. And I want people to see you live and to see your special.
Yes, it's all available. And we're rounding out the end of the year, the holiday season. What better time to gather around with your loved ones, your adult loved ones who enjoy ribald late night adult comedy, and watch The Path of Most Resistance. Well, it's actually just Path of Most Resistance, my debut stand-up comedy special. It's on 800-Pound Gorilla. It's available on their website on a number of platforms. It's most prominently available on YouTube.
Okay.
You can pay and download it on 800poundgorilla.com. You can watch it and stream it for YouTube for free. And it's widely available. It's funny at times. And at other times, it's wet. It's very wet. If you'll notice, I really sweat out through the whole show because
you're working.
It was September in Los Angeles.
Oh, God.
And I'm a sweater. So, don't expect a dry, snappy, powdered. I'm raw, okay? I'm out there in the trenches.
This is what we need.
Yeah, I really, and I put in an effort. The show, it's like a sporting event to me.
I love that. And all these years you've been doing stand-up, and this is your first special.
Yeah, it is. They wouldn't let me do it anywhere else, so I just did it myself finally. That's the way you have to do it today.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I have a feeling you might like it. Path of Most Resistance, 800-Pound Gorilla, YouTube. And also, if you want to check out the old Underculture podcast, that's there. And then my stand-up dates and so forth, you can find on Linktree or my website, jamesadomian.com. And on Instagram and Blue Sky and Threads, I'm generally at Adomian or some variation of it.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
What's that at the foot of my bed? It's coming this way. Wait a minute.